Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of the Enlighten Up podcast, and it is our monthly full moon rendition with none other than Mary Dusina, our favorite astrologist and seer. And today we are looking at the full moon in Capricorn. The full moon in Capricorn is going to be happening on June 21st, 9:07 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're living on the other side of the world, it will be happening on the 22nd for you. Just check according to your time zone. But it's our first of two full moons in Capricorn. And Mary, I'm just wondering, how are you feeling about this specific full moon coming up?
Welcome, audience. Welcome our group leader, Nicole. Thank you for your time, your tides, and your energy frequencies. This full moon, to me, it has some background positive influences, so I don't see any real bite to this actual full moon being in the early degrees of Capricorn, happening just after the solstice point. So I think it's a little bit of a sweet spot. It is, make no mistake about it, it is governed by the planetary energy. The captain of the ship is Saturn. And Saturn's going to retrograde in Pisces on the 29th of June. But what we had happen as we come into this first, as Nicole said, of two full moons in Capricorn, pretty unique. To me, that spirit saying, find the Capricorn house planets in your chart. Step 2, find the Cancerian planets, houses. It's that axis of Capricorn Cancer, because the next one that happens on around the 21st of July will be at the Antarctic, or the last degree of Capricorn, when we gather again with Nicole. So this one is at the early degree of 1. And this one, the next one, a month from now, is going to be at the very 29th degree, which 29 degrees to me of any zodiac sign gives it that extra little oomph. It's like, don't forget me. When you have one of these big yearly transits, that when it hits that 29 degrees, like Neptune right now is doing that 29 degrees of Pisces, and Pluto is very, very slow, retrograding back to 29 degrees of Capricorn. So I'm feeling, Nicole, that the next full moon will carry a little more of the responsibility, do it right the first time, don't do it the hard way, do it the right way the first time. So I feel this one is a better full moon for getting things done. When I was looking at the tarot cards for the 0 to 1 degrees of where the sun is right now, at that 0 to 1 to 2 degrees of Cancer, the tarot card of the 2 of Cups came up. It's so pretty. Nicole has a bunch of different tarot decks like I do, so I'm sure she'll find you a visual of the 2 of Cups, which in regular playing cards would be the 2 of Hearts. I love that card, and certainly in the tarot deck. I know Oracle decks will change it with different artistic renditions, but the 2 of Cups is the pledge of integrity, and it's allowing a remembrance, and yet there's the anticipation and the remembrance and the fruitfulness of what are the energy bonds that actually draw us to another person, whether that's an intimate, significant other, or just the BFF that you just can let your hair down with, male or female, and just be you instead of any kind of angst or fear or the patterns coming up from our psychological issues of abandonment or blame or shame. This is a full moon that I believe reminds us of, like, the signature statement I get for this full moon, Nicole, and I'll let you run with it, is approval status for the hard work, the job well done. So it's like, let this full moon be the moon that is your productive time to just attend to the task that you want to get off your list, kind of a thing. I feel like that for those Cancerians born at the very front piece of the sign of Cancer, the ocean crab. So those of you, happy birthday, Cancers that are born in the June part of the sign of Cancer the crab, the water sign, cardinal sign of Cancer the crab. What we have here with over the 18th, we had Mercury, the style of communication that we do, Venus, the love attraction moving into the water sign of Cancer, nurturing, finances start to kind of level out and not be sporadic. You don't notice the inflation factor so much because it's like, oh my God, the roller coaster out there. So especially for you Cancerians that are born in June, relief is really strong. Those of you born in July, you're still in a little bit of a tender time that I'm going to let Nicole take off on when we're in our 12th house, that month before our birthday. So June born Cancerians and December born Capricornian goats. This, I feel, is a very favorable full moon that back when we went to Saturn in Capricorn from 2020 to 2022, when Saturn was in Capricorn, it's finishing up in Aquarius now. I feel like that this cycle right here might tie in back to that Saturnian when it first went into Capricorn, and it's going to be 30 years from the year of 2020 that it goes back into Capricorn again. So look back, if you're a June Cancer, if you're a December Capricorn born sign, look back to the 2 years of 2020 into 2022 and look at what anchored nicely in your life amidst any of the potential political or world chaos, and then look at now even if you got knocked off your horse, how well you got back up in the saddle in 2024. I see this as a reward moon, Nicole, a really reward moon.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I've gotten very similar downloads for this full moon as well. You know, with it being so close to the summer solstice, and the summer
Yes.
solstice being a time of rejoicing for having the most light possible, for rejoicing in abundance, for rejoicing in all of the fruits, for blessing the summer so that you have a bountiful harvest. It's really about, like you said, this is about making sure you do the work. Like there's an important thing you really like, the really prioritized important tasks that need to get done. This is the time to really start doing that. And that's one of the reasons why I'll quickly say I am offering I'm kicking off a 28-day program, which is interesting because it will end right when the next full moon in Capricorn begins. But we're going to start on the 20th of this month of June, on the summer solstice, a 28-day program on how to not just build the life that you want or the timeline that you want to be in, but also how to navigate the fluctuations that happen that can help you, that not help you, but maybe cause you to fall into lower timelines, fall into old patterns, beliefs, behaviors, feelings, all the things that keep you stuck in the reality that you don't want to be in. And so Capricorn's very much goal oriented. Capricorn wants to succeed. Capricorn wants to be better, wants to level up, wants to improve its status, wants to improve its overall position. And that's why it's at the top of the zodiac. And so it's determined, it's steadfast, it just focuses on what absolutely needs to get done right now. And so it's a beautiful time. If anyone you're interested, it's still open. You can still gain access to it. We don't start until Thursday afternoon. So if you're interested, I'm leaving the link in the description below. But this full moon also, like you said, you got the Two of Cups. It's on the 1 degree, but it rounds up to the 2 if you're going to look at the Sabian symbol. But even still, it's conjunct Venus. And so there's something about you wanting to really also work hard to the things that you value. How do you
Yep.
value yourself? How do you, it's not just about your relationships, but it's about your personal worth, your value, what you want to create around you in your life that is valuable to you, that you hold up on the higher pedestals of life that are important to you. And these are the things you need to be focusing on, I feel like.
Well, Saturn, for those of you that are wanting to follow along for like, okay, don't hit me with too much too fast. Keep this in mind. Here's your bullet points. Saturn governs this full moon. Saturn is what we call the planetary captain or governor of the sign of Capricorn. As Nicole said, it's ambition, it's goals, it's the 10th house, it's the top of the natural Western zodiac. If Aries opens up the door as sign number 1, then we go, the very top, then as you look at your cardinal signs, the 4 cardinal signs open up the important seasons. So Aries in the northern hemisphere opens up spring. So this is the weed and seed and clear the dirt and go get the plants and get the seeds. And so it's spring is happening in the northern hemisphere. And then when we get to Litha, or the summer solstice, this is the cardinal water sign of Cancer, the ocean crab. So here we've got our arms and hands busy looking at what's growing, like this, the seed pod has opened. And a lot of times when you think about that time of the year, that time at summer solstice, you know, that 3rd week of June, and it officially opens up what we call on the medicine wheel the warming season, the growing warming season, where the nurturing of the sunlight and the chlorophyll's in the air, and people want to go to the forest, or they want to feel the ions at the seashore. So a lot of people that have kids or grandkids are taking that summer vacation during this time, and they're looking for the great seafood restaurant or the best place to go get the salads or the steaks or whatever that you're into. But it's kind of like it's been known as a kind of like the once a year, take time off from work to do a house project or take a vacation, be with family, that kind of a thing. So Cancer opens up in the northern hemisphere, summer, and then we go over to Libra, which is the cardinal air sign, and Libra opens up autumn, the autumn time. And so then, like Nicole said, when we're beginning to think about harvesting and what crops did well this year, and we're starting to think about the leaves changing and all of it. At the top of the chart on the 10th house is Capricorn, which Capricorn begins at winter solstice, Yuletide. So this is when the weather can slow you down. I mean, just the cold and the ice, and I got to adjust, and I'm getting my different wardrobe out. And it's more of a time of processing as people come into their respective culture holidays. They're beginning to process it, Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and New Year's, and they're starting to process what they're going to prioritize this year. Will you be traveling during these celebrations? Will you want to stay home and have people there? Do you want to have a solitary, pensive, soul building type of ceremonial type of holiday? So right now, when we are coming, we've just had the solstice open up. Solstice means sun stands still. So the winter and the summer signs, the Capricorn and the Cancer, that's the part of your own astrological chart, especially if you're a Libra or an Aries, that you want to kind of look at. You want to look at that right now. But for all of us in our respective natal birth charts, what's lit up by the full moon and what'll be lit up by the next new moon is going to be the sign of Cancer. So here we have Capricorn, then there'll be a new moon 2 weeks later, and the sign of Cancer, the crab. This is feelings, it's emotions, and then we're going to have that other, to Nicole's point, the second full moon, I'm going to say it again, ruled by everything that Saturn is a month away when we get to the 21st of July. So Saturn's did a retrograde. It's got a retrograde cycle from June 29th. So we have solstice. We're at this full moon here on the 21st of June at 1 degree. And then Saturn is going to retrograde on June 29th. It's going to stay retrograde. So its energies are toned down. We're reviewing. We're processing. We're looking at, Nicole spoke to worth. Know your worth. We're looking at what energy, your first currency is your vital life force energy. Like, how much energy am I putting into the dance classes? How much energy am I putting into martial arts? How much energy and money am I putting into hanging on to all these items? Do I want to downsize? Do I want to change cities? So we're thinking about, on this great turning of the wheel, where and how, at this biological point in my life, at this point in my psychological and my spiritual leveling up and up-level evolvement, what matters more? What we may find that we're looking at the materialistic time right now in our life. Mars is in Taurus. Taurus is about values, and it's about the cost. Is it worth it? At what cost? At what price? So with Mars moving through Taurus, it says to us some things like, and the answer is okay if it's still yes, but it has us look at things like, do you really need that? Do you really, is that just another item of clutter or a little trinket that makes you feel good for the day because you need to have an emotional uplift? That's okay. But, or is there something that you could maybe pass onward or sell, liquidate, and open up some extra money and still have an emotional uplift instead of just buying new things or getting other things, to be able to maybe say, you know what, I've had that for 20 years and somebody expressed an interest in that. I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm not as invested. Think about financial words with Capricorn and Virgo and Taurus. So Mars is in Taurus. Uranus is still doing its little dancy poo. And the Earth. Earth is tangible, materialistic. I want to see it, smell it, touch it, feel it, and how it feels to me. So we're really looking at our emotional currencies now with the Sun and Mercury and Venus and Cancer. It's homeward. It's the relatives we get along with versus the family members that we'd like to avoid the text from. I'm just telling you, just the way it is. You know, it's the ones that are just like, oh my God, they suck the oxygen out of the room because it's got to all be about them. And then when Saturn retrogrades from June 29th to November 15th, it gives us an ability to quickly, don't belabor the point, but to quickly review some old chapters, some things that might trigger us, some things that are kind of way below the surface. Think about how the magma and the lava is always kind of there in beneath the earth, beneath the caldera or the volcano, and then what makes it blow. So it's long held feelings, it's long held desires, passions. Mars in Taurus, although Mars is said in all the astrology textbooks and online to be weakest in the sign of Libra or Taurus, it's still moving around in the domain of Venus. And as Nicole mentioned, Venus is very harmonious right now. Venus is harmonious with the Sun. So Venus, in a subtle way, when you're kind of an intermediate or an advanced astrologer, you realize that the obvious answer is Saturn rules this full moon, and Saturn's going to rule 2 full moons in Capricorn, and it's austere, and it's you better have integrity, and you better be authentic, and you're not going to get away with those nasty little business practices where you laugh at how you took advantage of other people, because Saturn's a karmic boomerang. It's going to kick your ass. So that's what Saturn can do. Make no mistake about it. Saturn will make you face those fears, and Saturn will have comeuppance. But I feel, because of Venus and the Sun and Mercury being in that sweet spot of there's no place like home, and what do I feel about my home, and maybe it's time I kind of spend some time at home. That's why I pay the rent. That's why we pay the mortgage. Maybe I really need to process and get the best out of my home environment instead of always running outside the door to find excitement, or I'm bored, I want to go do this or that. This is a really good time to do more home-based things, because Mars isn't going to be back in Taurus for 2 years. So it's a really good time to open our eyes. And even if that involves a little home upgrade, repair, or cleaning, it's just the open-eyed meditation of freshening and cleaning your home, changing out the air conditioning and heat filters and dusting. I mean, that sounds boring, not when you're paying the mortgage, not when you're going to entertain, not when you're paying the rent. So this is a story about new, fresh, emboldened chapters and adventures, and let's add that other word with Mars, pleasures, in your own soft, cushy environment. There's a reason why you picked where you're living right now. And even if you've got force-fed into a place that you're living right now that you really want to strive to not live with that roommate or that parental member, as Cancer's about the home base and clearing up some family stuff, kids, grandparents, aunts, uncles, mean cousins, all that kind of stuff. So this is a really good time for you to process that and look at that and allow the writing of the new chapters, because you're really looking at what matters the most. The background thing I want to mention real quick. In the background, we have loosely the full moon getting along with Mars and Taurus, Capricorn Earth, Mars and Taurus Earth. We loosely in the background have Jupiter, fresh in Gemini since late May, trining or getting along very well with Pluto still retrograde at that, it stays retrograde a long time before it shifts signs at that early degree of Aquarius. So we're innovative, we're creative, we can punch out some really great word story. It's like the way that we say it, the way that we write it, the way that we help other people express it, like pulling other people out in a sense to where they get to the main meat of the story, the joy. I feel like it's a time not to overlook what we've moved on from. I think humans in general, Nicole, are so in a kind of a societal 3D habit of focusing on either what they want, what's not working, why didn't it sell, who's going to love me, when am I going to move, what's going to go on, what about my job. I think we look at more about what's not happening yet or the way we want it yet. And then when we finally get through that little soul lesson, karmic challenge, big burp in our life, like, whoa, that hit hard, that was fast and furious. I think that we tend to, I don't anymore. That's my spiritual correction direction right now. I'm really focusing more, even when there's like wild things that go on in the news. Currently, Florida's going through very unusual, very heavy torrential rains and flooding. Florida's a Pisces. So we've got some things going on with Neptune in that last degree of Pisces. So Pisces states, Pisces places, Pisces people, they're kind of going, ah. So what's happening is that it's saying to us, where is there too much of something, or where is there too much of it too often, whether it's my expectation or your expectation. And the spiritual direction correction that I'm enjoying, that my guides are working with me, is don't zoom past that moment of, oh, thank God that's over. Thank God the divorce is over. Thank God that breakup went okay. Thank God my child was safe from that car accident. Thank God every single time you pass an accident or you see something of an injury, a drowning, a fire, whatever, to animals or people, that's something that didn't happen to you. So absolutely, we should have compassion, because this transit is, if there's soul work to be done, I would lean into, it's prompting us to prioritize quality connections. Where might we set, in very creative ways, and you can use humor, appropriate boundaries, like when you set a boundary and people just kind of ignore it and do it anyway. Like, I don't like people getting right up in my face at all. I got 5 planets in Scorpio. Back up. I don't do that to people. So when they get right up in your face, and like, especially if you don't know them, hi, I'm Adam. Oh, you need to back up. I mean, when I was in my early 30s on my first Saturn return, I would have said, excuse me, I might need to back up a little bit. I'm going to done all that nice shit now. It's just like, whoa, you need to get out of my face. Yeah, don't do that. Am I doing that to you? Don't do that. Back up. I'm more comfortable if you back up. I don't care whether they like it or not. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not my first Saturn return. So when you get to you learn a lot about when Saturn's in charge. Those of you out there right now, no matter what your zodiac sign, if you're between 28 and a half and 30 years old right now, you're experiencing your first astrological cycle of your Saturn return. So a backdrop to these 2 full moons in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Anybody out there, regardless of which of the 12 zodiac signs that you are, if you're between 28 and a half and 30 years old, you're in a cycle to where Saturn is the maestro of your celestial soul lessons right now. And so it will tend to thin down, par down what you're supposed to pay attention to. There won't tend to be as much playtime or, getting that stoned or playing that hard. I mean, it will tend to keep your nose to the task. And so for those people in that age group, and for the other age group of about 57 and a half to 60 years old, you're also put on point. Those would be people going through their second celestial cycle of the Saturn return, to really look at, more than any other age range, look at what really matters in your life right now the most, and celebrate that. Don't get sad about it. Just look at what are your guides, what are your angels. Nicole talked about the teaching she's going to do over the next 28 days. This would be a great time with 2 full moons in Saturn. This is a great time that you would accomplish the most, for example, with Nicole's program, to really say, you know what, I've kind of put on the back burner, finding out what my patterns are, where I kind of self-sabotage, where I psychologically tend to go, no, I want to avoid that, or, ooh, I'm enabling that, whether it's your own, what you would call maybe a bad habit, or, yeah, I need to look at that with something else, or what you're tolerating that deep down in your heart you're not happy with. For you to do, what's interesting, Nicole, is you're doing it for 28 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a Saturnian cycle,
I know it's 28
Saturn,
years.
yeah. So this, I'm telling you, it intuitively, if you can do it and you can work with Nicole, and if I was in the mood to be teaching right now, it's exactly what I'd lean into with what Nicole's doing to help you have an outside assistance, an outside soul coach to be able to say, look, this is a safe place. This is a safe place and a good time to lean into what you think. This isn't about criticizing you, but it's about you getting beyond where you self-sabotage and might criticize yourself, or, run out the door all the time, have to be busy all the time, OCD, got to work all the time because, oh my God, if you slow down, where does your mind go when you're all alone with yourself and you're not dealing with the kids or the animals or the job or the car, and all of a sudden you sit down? Does your mind go into places that bother you? Or are you just cool and grateful to just slow down and be in the moment? Yeah, that's how you know how you're doing with your Saturn.
Well, it's not only that, but when we look at this particular full moon, one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on with people in this program are your values, like your literal core values. And I don't think people understand how important really getting clear about this is, to not just manifesting what it is you want, but also like knowing how to make the decisions on what's best for you. And with Venus being so close to this full moon, it's everything is just so perfectly aligned. But then even like you said, we've got the Saturn is really kind of a focal point over the next 6 weeks or so. Not just because we have 2 full moons in Capricorn, but we also, Saturn is going retrograde. It's going retrograde in Pisces. And Pisces is a very spiritual sign. But it's also, it's about, it's about our dreams. It's about going beyond the possibilities that we've always known. And so this is like a really ripe time to really take the time, because Saturn he's the Lord ruler of time, right? Lord of time.
Yeah.
To take the time to dedicate to all of your most prioritized values, and creating from a place of that to really have what it is that you want to show up in your world. Saturn is believe it or not, one of the great manifestors. And I don't think people realize that, because Saturn does the work. Saturn shows up. Saturn puts their head down and focuses, and focus is so important. Where your energy goes, where focus goes, your energy flows, right? So this is like a really, really important time and then you couple on the summer solstice on top of that. There's just a lot of clarity and bright energy for abundance to kind of come through here. So it's really a very interesting full moon. I'd like to know, Mary, from your perspective, because there is a little bit of a grand cross here happening. It's out of sign, but with Neptune and Black Moon Lilith. Really kind of hitting this moon. And so I feel like, I'll just say what I feel, and then you can kind of piggyback on that. But I also feel that this is a time where we have to remove the blinders. We have to remove the distractions, the illusions that we've bought into, that are getting in the way of what it is that we really want, that is getting in the way of us actually manifesting or building or creating, and achieving. I should say achieving is really the highlighted word here, with Saturn ruling this full moon. What are you not achieving that you want to? What is the false illusion, the beliefs, the fears, all of those things that get in the way that you may have bought into that you don't even realize? Because I feel like there's something here that is like really wanting to kind of pull back the veil, because we do have Neptune going retrograde in a few weeks as well. And that is always when Neptune goes retrograde, it's about pulling back that veil. It's about looking at things from a very deep, hard truth. So I feel like in this particular full moon, not only is this about a really great chance of a culmination, a revelation for you to really get serious about what it is that you want to build and achieve in your life and feel good about and proud about and have your, like think about like your own status just in, your own personal worth, your own personal value. And what is it that's in the way of that that you may not even realize, like that veil that, we can just, we are okay to have it there and not let us see what we really need to see.
Well said. I think I may have misspoke when I talked about Saturn going. I may have inadvertently said the sign of Aquarius. Let me correct that. Saturn is going to be retrograding in Pisces prior to where Neptune, as Nicole just mentioned, is going to retrograde around July 2nd. So
I think when you said Aquarius, because you said we're talking about Pluto going back into Capricorn.
Oh, good.
I think.
Okay.
I think that's what I think. I
You
think you said.
I just want to make sure astrology can be so many moving parts and pieces that I just don't ever want to, confuse the audience. But wait a minute, they just said Saturn was away. Because sometimes my mind will go to the fact that Saturn, once ruled over Aquarius as well as Capricorn, and now we have Uranus there. So when you've got a Saturnian ruled full moon and you've got Saturn retrograding in the sign of Pisces, it's going to retrograde prior to Neptune, which rules Pisces at 29 degrees, retrograding right around July 2nd. So this is the best time before Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, retrogrades in early July. This is the best time. In other words, more bang for your buck. Like if you invested in a seminar or a ceremony or a therapy, or to finally take that first step, or you went through an addiction rehab type of program and you fell back off the wagon again. This is that cycle to say, you know what, instead of just saying I can't do it, I'm too weak, I'm too addicted, this is that great time when she's talking about removing the veil, looking at what's underneath the covers. Sometimes it feels good to have a nice softy blanket on top of you, but then there's other times where we go into the covers and we get out of the covers. So take that emotional charge off of it, because all these Cancerian planets and the Capricorn energy favors these retrogrades coming up into Pisces. So if Capricorn and Saturn have to do with do the work, if you'll put in the effort, the diligence, the due diligence, and open up, what's going to really be blessing you right now is the divine discernment, because Pisces is all about that spirituality. And so, the signs like Taurus right now, this whole full moon, when it starts to jump into the ninth house, or for Taurus, and Mars is in Taurus, it really starts to give us this enthusiastic, dynamic awareness and awakenings and epiphanies. And so I feel that the sweet spot of the next 28 days, but prior to when we get to July 21st and we have that new moon midway, is that our sweet spot is if there was ever going to be a cycle in 2024, and I would venture to say since 2022, if there's ever been a cycle to where we could get more bang for the buck, more results for the effort, then it's now. It's absolutely now, because there's those times where we know we got to get up at 5 and we got to make the drive and we got to go to work, got to get the kids from school, got to make the meal, got to do this, got to prep for this. This is the cycle that says, watch how astrology can be viable and workable in your life. Got a couple of astrologer psychics here telling you what they're teaching is this would be a cycle that whatever seems to be a hard work or hard project right now would go smoother than probably any other time in 2024, because we've got Earth, Capricorn, and Taurus, and Pisces and Cancer. The Earth and the water signs kiss each other well in the skies. Mm-hmm. And this first of the two full moons of Capricorn isn't the one that cracks the whip and said, I said you get a 15-minute smoke break and that's it. Now get your ass back to work. This isn't that moon. This is the teacher, the professor, the teacher, the neighbor, the mechanic that was honest. This is the person that gave you the quote and didn't rip you off. This is the teacher that encouraged you. This was someone that didn't have to force feed you an issue with an iron fist. Yeah, this is the moon that says, you got this. You got this. And it's a great time. It's like, I believe in you. I believe in you. and then so it's a great blooming cycle.
Mm-hmm.
We're just suggesting that it's also a time where you could get the pressure off of you by just turning around and saying, what is it? I don't want to overanalyze why I'm avoiding making that call, taking care of that business, getting that cleared up. We're telling you, we get it. Why people want to avoid it and go, oh God, not today, Satan, not today, Satan. But this is a really good time, two things, for you to look at how good it feels when you finally say, oh, that's so funny. I put that off for 6 months. I didn't want to go to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned. I don't like going to the dentist. Well, Saturn rules the teeth and the bones. It's that, we're spirit, and we've slipped on an earth suit. We slipped on skin, but that skeletal frame, our bones, our teeth, the trunk of our body, our limbs, that's Saturnian, that's Saturnity, the framework, why you get an x-ray. It's the bones, it's the teeth, before you just jump into saying, yeah, I'll get a root canal or a filling. Yeah, no, it's the maintenance that you do, the oil change on the car, the once every 6 months teeth cleaning that you do, the work you do at home, the coconut oil on your teeth and sloshing your mouth with peroxide after baking soda. You don't have to go buy $800 kits of teeth whitening and laser. You don't have to do that if you do a steady, regular maintenance. Brush your teeth with a little bit of baking soda, coconut oil, so it's not too abrasive of the baking soda, and slosh your mouth with some water and peroxide. Those aren't that expensive, but they work. Work, and they're healthy.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to say too, I think this is just, and we won't go too much into this because I don't want to overwhelm the audience, and then we got to save it for next month anyway. But I want to, the reason why we do this, and this is the reason why I go over this also as well with the Alchemists and Alchemy group, is because Mary and I are trying to help you guys navigate the energies so that you can utilize them in the best way, so that if there are things that are lining up, like she said, if there is something to do that is really hard, or it's like you've been begrudgingly like I need to do it, but I don't want to, like, there is no better time than now, because the energies are so supportive of making it a little bit easier to get done. It's going to flow with a little more ease. The energies are very supportive to you getting this done. And Saturn is all about rewards, believe it or not. If you're willing to do the work, Saturn will bring you the rewards. It's not just about restriction. It's about, let's do what needs to get done, and then you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And Saturn, when we look at the next full moon, just keep in mind, everyone, this is the one where you really want to put your nose down, in a sense of, just like she said, prioritize the things that you really need to get off your list right now, because there's change coming up with the next full moon. That next full moon is going to be flowing in a really nice trine to both Mars and Uranus. Okay, so Uranus is the planet of sudden change. There are going to be changes around the corner, and you are possibly prepping yourself right now to be in such a good position to reap the rewards of a big shift, a big change, a surprise coming your way. And it will be something that, with Mars in Taurus, could be very financially motivated. It could be very motivating in a sense of giving you the stability that you want, the roots that you want to put down. Like, there's really good rewards that are going to come here. And if you do the work now, there is change on the horizon coming with the next full moon. So prepare yourself, put yourself in the best position possible. Saturn will always reward those who do the work in the timely manner that you're meant to. And this is
the good student. Yep.
So that's just something I wanted to kind of put out there. We're obviously going to go into that next month, more details, but we want to give you guys a heads up so that you're in a best position.
To me, what I liked I got into astrology and the tarot when I was 14. And what I liked about it, because it kept it very private, it was something I wanted to study for myself, along with my other foundational spirituality, like the medicine wheel and my Holy Ghost stuff. But what I really liked about it is, like, okay, this is like the way people would look at social media, or back then the newspaper. This is like getting the advantage of the weather forecast. This is, okay, I'm going to plan to go to the beach next weekend. I live in the mountains and it's an 8-hour drive. So which week out of the next 2 weeks is going to be the easier forecast, so I'm not just driving all the way to the beach and a hurricane's going to hit. I'm not going to the Bahamas when the hurricane's going to hit the Bahamas. That's what you do when you live in Florida. You're tracking that hurricane report whenever we go to Florida. So if you look at astrology as like a recipe of where, like people say, well, why should I even bother with astrology? Well, you don't have to bother with it, and it certainly doesn't rule your life. But what it does give you is, like psychology, it gives you a great deeper look into why we have the particular personality strengths and flaws that we all can, do less of this and more of that, because it makes us what? A better version of ourselves. So if I want to go to the beach in a hurricane, I can. If that's an adrenaline dump for me, I can go be a surfer and ride the bigger waves. And I know a lot of surfers that always look for tropical storms, and but they're still looking for things, what they call undertow or rip currents. Yeah, they're still, even though they're professional surfers. So you look at how it can become a mechanical tool, and you look at the advantage of that. It's just like if you put the wrong size tires on your car. Yep, you can go do that. I can tell you that, it's going to take size 36 here and 44 in the back because you got an SUV. But if you want to go put, this and this on your car, yep, got free will, go ahead and do it. Pay the consequences. Hope you do well. Hope you do well. Saturn's negative side is told you so, warned you. That's not the way an ethical psychic or an astrologer works. They don't have to throw out the fear hooks in you to get another reading. Or if you don't do this, if you don't spend this money now with them or thee or me, then, something, or the psychics that are like want to hook you with fear. No, Saturn, and every sign, every planet has its plus or minus. And Saturn's shadow side, if you will, is where we let the fear rule us and paralyze us. Fear paralyzes, it freeze frames us. So Saturn, if we succumb to the fear, will I still learn something from being really afraid of something and really fearful? Yeah, but what does it do? To Nicole's point, it'll take me more time to overcome that habit or overcome that thinking style or that psychological malaise. I'm going to have to do more work. It's frozen me. Like I won't ever face it if I'm afraid of it. If I'm afraid of how I would be if I wasn't a prescription addict, or if I had to stop drinking, then I'm more afraid of a possibility that I don't even have a complete answer on. I'm so afraid of how bad it might be, I won't even try. I won't even get over there and be the explorer or the adventurer, because I won't even take my foot and put it in the water to find out what it could be. And here's something I tell people all the time. Why do you think people have an alcohol problem or a drug problem? And and any rehab program, not to cast aspersions on the person, kind of knows it's absolutely predictable and natural. Some people don't, but that people might backslide and come out of rehab and go back into the drinking or get tempted again. It's kind of part of the process for you to finally release. Saturn is our habits. It's our go-to habits. It's our automatic pilot. I got scared of that. That makes me angry. That's my go-to. Like, by age 28, 30, you kind of know what your personality, your sensuality, what work habits work better for you. Are you a morning person? Are you a night person? If you're a night person, for God's sakes, take the night job. It's just logical. So Saturn tries to help you not keep trying to put a square peg in the round hole. It's just like, first you accept yourself as you are, and then you, and only you, choose what kind of therapeutic tools, Reiki, yoga, microdosing, vitamins, rehab, therapy, a vacation, whatever it is, massage, that would help you have more of a reliable, safe spot to be able to be introduced to some new ways to navigate, because we all got influenced in our childhood theater. We all got influenced by our early environment. It was our earth school. So just because we had tall people called parents or grandparents or step-parents or whatever, we went through shock and awe. There were emotional, psychological roller coasters, because just because those adults are taller than us and they've been on the planet longer than us doesn't mean that they didn't have their pressure points and their patterns and their weaknesses and their challenges as well. And we, by the time you get to 17, 18, shut up blaming your parents. If you don't like it, start making a difference with the character that you've got. If you care enough to school your kids, your grandkids, and let your lover know, this is what works for me. Listen, I need to let you know these are my triggers. Like, I don't do well with criticism. Have you noticed? I don't criticize people. I don't cast aspersions on people. I don't feel it's helpful to verbally discourage people or, say something sharp and cutting to someone and go, just kidding. Yeah, that doesn't work with me. And I'll be the first to tell people that. I don't criticize people. I don't make fun of people. I don't point out people's flaws, especially if they're struggling. I don't do that. I don't see how that's going to be a game changer in a positive way. As a matter of fact, I watch people's body language recoil and go embryonic and withdraw when I see other people, their partners, their parents, their kids do that to them. So my level of teaching is not fake, but let's find the encouragement. You know, a little child's like a flower, and maybe they just had a tummy ache, or it was hard for them to do martial arts or dance or something that day, but they want to please mommy. They want to please daddy. They want to be a shining star, but their energy was just off for the day, and mommy and daddy don't know that they got a tummy ache or they're constipated or whatever. We still have that inner child within us. So we freeze up and we get belligerent and we stub up, as we say in the South, or we just go into more of a heavier, like, you know, they'll talk about when dead weight, you know, we go into, I don't want to. And sometimes we won't explain to the people that love us, I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. Don't push me. I don't want to deal with that. So the partner's like, oh, no foul, no harm, no foul. I did not mean to push you. And that partner quickly realizes, or parents quickly find out when they got a preteen or a teenager that, oh, something might have happened at school, or they're just getting their monthly cycle or something. We all went through it. So there's still those things that can create a shutdown type of a mode. And so Saturn helps us come in with different kind of reach out strategies. Like, you okay? Do you want to have some time alone? It's not going to hurt my feelings if you want to have some time alone. And I think I misstepped. I did not. You need to know my intention wasn't to push you, but at some point when you're ready to talk about it, I don't care if it's 2 weeks or a month, let me know. You know, I don't want to stomp on your feet. I'm not in your life to hurt you. And we all know there's been people that came into our life with a wolf in sheep's clothing mask, and you know, they feel like they're all empowered and they've got some kind of psychological hard-on if they troll or criticize somebody else. That's not the way to do it effectively, psychologically, or at soul level training. It's not the way to do it. So we all know people that, because they're people pleasers, if they get criticized, they take it personal and then they try to push themselves past whatever weakness or fears that they had. You know, they're just not going to jump off the diving board. Sometimes a parent feels like unless they push them. That doesn't work for me. I don't think that's a good way to do it. I'd like to spend the extra time, Saturn, Chronos, I'd like to take the extra time to let the child, the older person, the animal, the client, the lover, let them feel comfortable in coming to learn me and me coming to learn them, and say, I'm not here to criticize you. I'm responsible for my feelings, and I'm responsible for letting you not have to guess all the time what's a plus or a minus with me. It's wrong for me as a lover to withhold information to you, as well as it's wrong for me to always just go on and on just about myself. You know, we need to check ourselves. It's not always about us. Everybody gets a turn. And it's okay to balance out and navigate. That's kind of the benefit of the sign of Libra in our chart, that whole give and take dynamic. What's the other shadow side of Saturn? Absolute self-entitled. It's all about me, and I don't give a damn about anybody else. When somebody is wounded, psychologically and spiritually, they go into that mode. I got hurt, I'm going to go hurt somebody else. And that's the basis of that. I mean, the wound never got to heal. And so it starts to become a repetitive pattern. Either they're masochistic and they're getting wounded again and again and again, or they flip to the other 180-degree side of that. And since they don't understand why they got hurt all the time, they're going to go out and hurt somebody else. So I would suggest that if Nicole and I, taking our time, Saturn, taking our skill sets, Saturn, taking our dedication, Saturn, we're taking the time to specify each month on how to get the optimal personal. We're making it all about you when we talk about the signs and who's primarily involved in the spotlight. We're making it all about you. So that's why you're going to hear some signs forecasts are going to be a little more meaty. There's going to be a little more information. So don't puff up because Aries was a short sign. You know, maybe Aries has got a pass on a particular month that maybe it's easier for Leo right now, but any astrologer is going to try to emphasize the signs that are in that element. If there's a full moon in Capricorn, then it's going to spotlight and send frequency radiations out to the other cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And then it's going to kiss the other earth signs. So Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn get a cosmic kiss because they're the same element of earth. But we're not trying to be negative. We're trying to give you advanced forecasting, celestial forecasting on where it might be a little stormy, where it might be a little bit of a delay, and be able to help you say there's nothing wrong with you. It's just there's optimal times in a forecast, in a starry forecast, of where it's going to be more malleable and palatable and navigatable for your sign. And it might not be for your sign for the next 2 months, the next 2 full moons. So that's why we try to say easier for this sign. If it's a challenge for your sign, let Nicole and I specifically tell you the house, the category, the area, the department of life where you might see the little porcupine quills. Does that mean you're going to get shot with the porcupine quills? No. That's why we're showing up once a month, to help you say, hey, if it gets a little sharp and edgy over here, we'd like to just suggest you do with it what you want to. We don't rule your life. We'd like to suggest this might be an optimal attitude to have in this area of your life for this month. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the houses, why don't we jump into all signs?
Okay. So to make it easier, for the reason we start with Aries, I've had people, why do you always start with Aries? The reason we do that is because we want to kind of help you learn the signs. We want you, like Aries is first in the Western zodiac, and it kind of helps you learn Aries energy, and the first house is kind of like Aries energy. So we're trying to teach you just a little bit without trying to make you astrologers each month. So what you have, if you're an Aries right now, we spoke about it briefly, Capricorn, the goat. For you Aries, you get the high view this month. You're at the top. You're at the pinnacle. You're at the top. So the goats out there, the Capricorns right now, Sun's in Cancer. So it's urging you to lean into your significant others. It's suggesting that the celestial planetary alignments, with all these planets moving into the summary Cancer sign of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, is saying to you that you'll learn the most, you'll glean the best results if you're a Capricorn by focusing on the key players and who's the most important people, personalities operating around you this month. The full moon, that 3-day window of the full moon here over the solstice of the 20th and the full moon date of the 21st and the 20th. Let's just go 20th, 22nd. That 3-day window of the moon being at her full phase, and the moon rules the sign of Cancer. The sun is in the sign of Cancer right now until we get to the next sign. So if you're an Aries, it's at the top of your chart. So this is a work in progress, ambitions. It's, are you satisfied or not? You may find that people or instances that you thought had gone away, or that had left you, or left the office, or left participating with your venue or your platform, had to go out there and discover some things about themselves, and they want to come back. That they realize sometimes by walking away or breaking away, people can, that's the only way people can see that it was better for them what they had than what they were searching out to see. And sometimes it flips the other way. But for Aries right now, I would say, look at what's driving your success. I would say that there's a bit of a pressure or frustration for our Aries people, especially those Aries born in March, maybe up to April 1st. You're looking at what, and don't focus on that too long, Aries, but you're kind of, if you're getting surly or impatient or irritated about anything, it's probably got to do with family or your actual domestic arrangement right now, where you're living. Do you like it or not? Do you wish you could move and you're impatient about that? But the success factor, focusing right now, what would be an easier sweet spot, is to focus on your talents and your skill sets and who's working for you and how you're working for someone else, and maybe take on a side venue of making some extra cash. Maybe you won't stay there, but you're going to hustle and do it. It's a great cycle for Aries to hustle, because if you're frustrated with what's not happening at home, then it's a good time, Aries, to get out of the house and go be making money with the hours of the day that are happening anyway. And I do feel, as you 2 weeks from now, when you come toward that new moon in the sign of Cancer, you'll get to see the long range view. Okay, I'm making a goal and I'm going to plan to move. I'm going to plan to move by January to March of 2025. So remember what Nicole said, Saturn is like a little bit of, it's not too long, but it's a long range type of picture. It can go like 2 years with Mars and almost 3 years with Saturn. So this is a great cycle when Saturn goes to retrograde on June 29th, Aries, because you're one of the 4 signs that are in the spotlight for this month's forecast that you really look at. Stop bitching about what you're not happy with or you're not satisfied with. Take those categories. I don't like this and how this is going in my life right now, and start that bullet point, that priority list of like, what's the first thing I could do, even if it seems like the smallest step, to turn this around instead of now it's Tuesday, now it's Friday, and I'm still bitching about the same old problem. That's what I would say for Aries, and the pace is going to quicken right before that next full moon, like a day before that next full moon on July 21st. Mars is going to jump into Gemini. Gemini accelerates. Gemini and things happening in Gemini and Sagittarius speed things up. Right now we've got Mars in Taurus. Cancer doesn't like to be pushed either. It's a crab. It's like I go sideways and backwards. Taurus is the bull going, oh yeah, come over here and let me let you visit with these horns right here. And how about just the size of my body? An average bull's about 1,800 pounds. Yeah, let's come talk about it. Tell me how you're going to take me out of my pasture without assistance. So it's a part of us right now that could be a little bit more curious and resistant at the same time for change. And so what Nicole and I's main point is, it's got to be you right now that initiates and follows through on the change. And so much so for Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, Libra. Cancer gets it a little bit easier because it's their birthday cycle. They're starting their new solar year. But the other signs of Aries, Libra, and Capricorn, you've got some work to do. So if you want to get past the frustration cycle, put in the work. If you're a Taurus, Mars is in your sign. We've still got out there the Uranus hanging around in the latter degrees of Taurus. Mars is accelerating. Uranus is going, hey, what would turn you on? What do you want to do? What do you want? What's tactile? What would touch you in a way that would be pleasurable for you? So a lot of Tauruses right now are thinking about, I don't want anything complicated. I really want to just have someone and cook a good meal with them, go on a picnic, sit out in nature, make love, bathe the dog. I don't want anything complicated in my life right now. And I'm okay because there's a steadiness going on with Taurus right now, and the planet's going into Cancer that says, maybe this is a good time of the year that I can, be an angel to somebody else. I can be an encouraging cheerleader. I can help someone, have a soft landing with an epiphany that would help them get unstuck. So Taurus and Cancer right now can be the people that that might hold space, really listen, and certainly not be judgy. And if you're all wound up, they might be the ones that can say, now don't let the anxiety get to you. Let your breath breathe you. I'm not talking about slowing down your breathing. I'm talking about breathe until you know that your breath is in charge and it's finding the pace and the level that you need right now, so you don't raise your blood pressure, stress yourself out, be too impatient and pushing on the roads when you're traveling. So it's a great educational cycle. You're addressing your purposefulness, Taurus. You're addressing your purpose. You are both an explorer, Mars in Taurus, and not all journeys. I often say this to my clients, when you're in a journey cycle, like the 3rd or the 9th house, not all journeys are just physical. There's soul journeys, there's consciousness adventures. So it's both physically and exotically, you're freeing up energies right now. There's something to do with, a lot of astrologers talk about the 12th house being when your guardian angels and your spirit guides are the closest to you. I really see that with the 9th house too. And so for Taurus right now, it's a 9th house type of full moon. For Scorpios, it's hitting on your 3rd house. So I feel like Taurus has got more of an internal revelation library going on right now. You might find that you weren't even thinking about it and you have a dream. And it seems like that you were with someone that's in the spirit world, an animal or a person, or all of a sudden, Taurus, you've come back with, I think I had a past life vignette. I saw it was my eyes. And yes, I can write it all off for the skeptic in me to say, oh, it was just a dream. It was just a dream. But man, I felt it. And you know what? I kind of put two and two together, and that characteristics with me this lifetime. Like, I think I gained my courage from that movie, from that lifetime, whatever that was in that dream. This wasn't a dream that I woke up from and I had a hard time remembering. It was like right there up front, right there up front. So for Taurus right now, it's a sweet spot for not only how you're helping people, whether you're a physical therapist or a soul consciousness coach and leading retreats or teaching a one-on-one, but also for you yourself. It can literally be, without you planning it, that you are vicariously being blessed because of the very scenarios and situations that a patient or a client or a student has, and they have the exact same struggle that you have or that you've had in your life, and how you watch them unlock themselves and release themselves to where you go, oh, damn, wow, that's not only synchronistic, that was a simultaneous revelation. Thank you, God. If you're a Gemini, so you went to the Gemini parade that started really strong on June 2nd and June 3rd. And so there was like, oh, all these planets spinning around into Gemini. And I will remind you, Gemini, that Jupiter, one of the benefics in astrology, the great expander, Jupiter, Zeus, went into your sign. It's not been there for 12 years. So subtract 12 from 2024, and that's your reference cycle. But Jupiter will expand, Gemini, what's in your world. It's a sweet spot for your sign. So if you do absolutely nothing with it and you just stay the same and you don't want to change anything, you might find that Jupiter will expand your waistline, that you will put on weight with Jupiter. You will crave sweets. You might want to do exotic foods. It might simply be a culinary type of an energy teaching dance. But with Mars and Taurus, until we get to right before that next full moon happens, with Mars and Taurus, it will grant you deeper levels of intimacy, skill sets, sensuality. The eighth house can also have to do with maybe sitting down and having that discussion with the other people that are investing time or money with you. Certainly the classic thing of the eighth house can be that you receive a winning, a lottery, the scratch ticket pays off, there's an inheritance, someone hasn't died yet, but they tell you that, if I should pass away, would you be the one that would take my cat or my dog or my parrot? Could I count on you that if something untimely happens to me or I got some bad medical report, you are the one that I would trust with my dog, my cat, my bird, whatever. So it may not be that the person is dying, but it may have to do with one of those heart-to-heart type of discussions, Gemini. And Gemini also might be thinking about who they want to earmark certain possessions or cars or properties or animals to themselves. But I'm not going to say that Gemini is not going to be thinking about the afterlife, the spirit world, their own soul contracts. It's the strongest time of the year, Gemini, for you to have that. And with the sun in Cancer and all these planets starting to dance into Cancer, it's perfectly fine for you to use those Gemini vast, cerebral capacities to kind of get your finances organized, because the second and eighth house in the third dimensional energies has to do with the organization and implementation of what you're spending, what you're selling, what you want to expand and what you want to liquidate. And it's very easy to go gambling and take things to extremes when Jupiter spends that year in your sign. So the rest of 2024, Gemini, Jupiter's going, yeah, go skydiving, go do this, go do that, trip the light, fantastic. So there could be, Gemini, some extremely empowering and enlightening experiences that happen because, I've always thought about trying that and I haven't. Well, 2024 is probably going to be the year you do. If you're a Cancer, first of all, happy 2024 birthday, solar return. The sun comes back to bless your sign as we get to solstice. And for those of you Cancers born in the first 3 weeks of July, the full moon in Capricorn is going to reveal where there's a tug of war, where there's I want to hug you, but I want to shove you away. I'm into you and I'm backing up. I mean, it could reveal for Cancer where the partner is afraid to show their vulnerability. It could be that the person is into you, but sometimes when we go through a seventh house full moon, because the full moon can rules the sign of Cancer, and so it can bring those emotions from the depths of us that we didn't even know they'd been lurking there or hiding there for that long. And maybe it's been a long time since we allowed a relationship, a friendship to start getting a little more in there, a little more serious. And when we're playing on the surface, you know, when it's sport loving and sport sensuality and playful social friends, but nothing, they're not really knowing about your secrets or your intimate life. Like there's like them. And then there's like those that really get to come in close to you and hear those heartfelt hopes or regrets and starts to share that type of theater with you. So that's kind of going on for you, Cancer, and certainly Venus popping into your sign is loverly as we come into this first full moon in Capricorn. And so Venus is kind of saying to you, you got this. But, you know, it's also really okay for you to have standards and boundaries. And it's really okay that it's not the old version of yourself that would just go ahead and have sex with that person because they bought you dinner and your fourth date. And you kind of like the way they touch you anyway, but you're really not into them in your heart or your soul, but you're just going to go ahead and do that anyway. But your soul was not on board with it. Your soul was just like, okay, I'll people please again. I'll make love to her or I'll let them make love to me. But really you're thinking, I'm not moving forward with this relationship and it's nothing wrong with them. It's just, it's not those pheromones or those zones or those or the same matching energies have taken this further. I can enjoy them, but maybe I need to tell them if I'm falling for them or they're falling for me and somebody's expectations is off balance, maybe I need to be the bigger person and say, you know, I didn't know this. This isn't a game. I kind of thought I should be in a relationship, maybe because my age or my I don't know, but I'm just not feeling like I'm ready. Maybe it will be, but I just don't feel like I'm ready to take it to the next level, or I'm not feeling like I really want to open up further right now. We don't always have to have the excuse of, because I just broke up or I'm in my vulnerable rebound stage. Just simply say, probably me, but maybe nothing against you. Maybe I need, you know, to test the waters and have some variety. And if, you know, maybe I need to date other people. I mean, we have this tendency to go, how dare you? And, you know, I want to know that shit. You know, if somebody else wants to date, I want to say to them, oh, please do. Please do take me off the list for now. Yeah, really. Yeah, take me off the list for now and go out there. Because if they come back to you, Cancer, it's because you were the sweet spot. Better that you find it out in the beginning 6 months, right? Instead of on down the line when you've invested 2 years or 10 years. I mean, I hear that one all the time. So Saturn, when it retrogrades on June 29th, when it retrogrades in Pisces, it's actually kind of favorable for you. It's going to help you bring up, you know, are they your insecurities, or you can turn around and pat yourself on the back going, you know what? That would have happened to me 2, 3, 4 years ago. I would have been like all messed up. But instead I'm like, yeah, I did it. I didn't take it personally. It didn't trigger me. I've grown. It's kind of nice to have that happen so you can see that about yourself. If you're a Leo, it's the 6th house and full moon. The Capricorn is dancing around in your 6th house. So, you know, you've all heard the statement, no matter what age you are, whether it's an animal or a person. If you're taking care of someone that needs you, it's also vitally important that the caregiver, the nurse, the physical rehab, the person that's taking care of you after you broke the bone or whatever, they need to have their time to recharge too. Leo, that might be you. So if you're in a phase, if there's a chapter in your life, Leo, that you're worried about a child, you're worried about a friend, you're worried about your lover's going through a hard time, your marriage partner seems to be having a light switch on, light switch off, and you're the one that wants to be the sunshine and the encourager and creating soft moments for them, you can take certain steps. But I got to tell you, Leo, it's like you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. You can even put the water under the horse's little soft muzzle. If it doesn't want it, it doesn't want it. And so there's something about Leos right now going through, well, maybe I'll make an offer, maybe I'll make an effort, but I'm not going to think that they're not respecting me just if they say, I don't want the spaghetti. I don't want to do that right now. Maybe just plant the idea of like, you know what, if you want spaghetti, if you want the counseling appointment, if you'd like me to buy you an astrological reading, if you would like to go on a hike with me, let me know, and I'll tell you my best times. I'm not going to do it in the hell hot humidity of the day. That's my boundary. But, you know, if I could be there for you, I'm here. I'm here if you want it. I'm available if you feel like that's going to be something that won't be pressure for you. I just kind of feel like that Leos have a double-edged sword right now with Mars and Taurus, that you've got to take care of yourself. Take that Epsom foot salt, you know, go get a massage, eat a little healthier, try to build up your own immune system. For God's sakes, at least take some B12 or some probiotics, because the sixth house is the health and wellness area, can have to do with our pets, has a lot to do with our daily routine. And it simply might be that the daily routine and the errands and the appointments and who needs to lean on you is getting a bit at the point of overwhelm. So it's okay for you to say, I'm not doing crap on Thursday. Thursday's my day. Yep. Talk to you on Friday. Talk to you on Monday. Thursday's going to be my day to recharge and restore. That's important right now, Leo, because Mars and Taurus is kind of like poking the tiger in the cage, like, when is enough enough? And you're going to want to do it all, Leo. You know what? You're the sign that's ruled by the sun, and you're going to want to do it all for anybody that you've pledged any kind of alliance or loyalty to. This is their time in their life that they need me. It's my child. It's my parent. It's my lover. And by God, I'm going to be that lion for them. That's what Leo is. Leo rules the heart. Leo rules the spine, the courage, the back, you know. So I'll back you up. I've got your back. I'm your six, that kind of a thing. So I'm just suggesting, Leo, that because I'm not going to change you from being that way at all. That's what Leo is. When they commit, and they're committed to the ride. I'm just gently suggesting that you do a few things. Your favorite comfort foods, a nice bath, something that doesn't have to cost you more money. If you like working out at the gym, go work out at the gym. Swimming at the pool, go do that. Do something that's nice for you, even if it's just get a glass of tea and go sit under the stars for a little while. Because it's all about wellness. It's all about your routine. It's all about, are you driving yourself to a tense edge of a cliff because there's too much on your plate right now? So if you're Virgo, you're one of the earth signs, and I told you, but this full moon gives a little kiss. So Virgos that are born in the late August part of Virgo, and Tauruses that are born in the late April part of Taurus, maybe the first day of May, and then Capricorns that are born in the December part of the Capricorn sign. So for Virgos that are August born, I would say that this is a time where you want to be a little flirty. You want to be a little playful with the server in the restaurant. You want to just kick it up. It's innocuous. It's just, it doesn't have an agenda. It's just like, I just want to go out and have a good time and be lightly social. So if you're a Virgo, you're a little bored. All that Gemini that started hitting you in the early part of June was just like, I'm bored. I want to do something, but I don't know what. I just had a Virgo say that to me the other day. I mean, you look at the Virgo and say, well, what do you want to go do? They don't know yet. So Virgos are in a planning stage right now, and especially those that are born in the September part of Virgo. So I would say that this is a time where you kind of do a check on the things that you say usually bring you pleasure, like if it's the car ride or the horseback riding or the hiking or the, you know, whitewater rafting or you know, do zip lining, whatever. It's a kind of a creative time for Virgos to stick their toe in the water of adventure and playfulness, but not too serious. And they don't want to commit to anything too heavy right now. So it's flirty and it's laughing. I would say that comedy club, you know, go to a comedy club, sit in the back row so you don't get heckled by the comedian or picked on. That's the front row people. Just go sit in the back of that musical concert or that event. You know, the air conditioning is nice. It's summer here. And just go let someone entertain you. Just let something else entertain you, Virgo, because I feel like you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing, and you're really trying to keep a monitor on yourself. And it could be, if you're young enough and you're a vital enough Virgo, this could be a full moon that you might be a little tempted to take a risk sexually. So whether that's to prevent a disease or whether that's that you don't want to get, you know, impregnated, I would put a caution out there for the Virgos whose age ranges are still fertile and productive and things like that, because it can be. Full moons heighten fertility anyway, and especially if it's in the same element that you are. If you're a Libra, you're one of the 4 signs that are challenged. Mars in Taurus actually is kind of a background assistant to you. Like, imagine someone running around behind you with a notepad going, okay, what else is a priority? What's your top 3 priorities? How can I help you? I'm your personal assistant. What can I do? So Mars is being a personal assistant. The Capricorn full moon is smack dab in your 4th house. I have found fourth house full moons or fourth house Mars transits tend to trigger issues to do with the mother, the grandmother. If there's a jealous same-sex sibling, I found that if there's that parent, that sibling, that best friend, if there's the competition can come up with someone that's the same gender type of thing with you. So, but usually it's, are you nurturing yourself? Are you nurturing others too much? Are you keeping them, Libra, from a lesson that they need to experience? By giving them too much advice or too much guidance, or trying to have them, trying to take away the lesson so they'll have a soft landing. Oh, here's some money. I'm sorry you're depressed. No, Libra, you need to just say, well, something to consider. Not, if I were you. Instead, Libra, say, well, maybe some points to consider. You got to look at all sides of things, because Libra likes to look at all sides of things, and the negotiators and the mediators, and what about this and what about that? And that's how they can get stuck in criticizing somebody else, but freezing up when they've got to make a decision. So if you've got a lot of Libra in your chart right now, the fourth house is saying, get a plan, but don't get locked down with it. Just get a main goal, and then start to see the little avenues that are coming out of that. The possibilities are endless. And so you're the charmer, Libra. Libra gets a little upset if they don't get attention for all their efforts, because they're going to try to be charming, and they're going to try to be flirty, and they're going to try to get everybody to feel comfortable in the room, similar to what Cancer does. Those are cardinal signs that do that. But Libra also wants to see the merit and the praise and the applause. The two signs that seem to need rather than want, that seem to kind of cling on and need adoration, applause, job well done. That their love language is, you've got to validate it for them. I found are Libra and Pisces. I'm not saying it's a flaw. I'm just saying it's a fact. So when a Libra or a Pisces can say, I did it because I wanted to do it, and I know I did it with integrity, and I know I did it in a win-win type of modality, then they're not addicted to getting the praise or the flattery or the applause or the attention. Because when someone needs to have applause or attention all the time, they're masking a deep-seated insecurity. And so they might lash out or criticize or get resentful because they didn't get their feathers puffed back down a little bit, or they got all banty-roostered and they didn't have someone to soothe them all the time. That can be very taxing on a partner of a Libra, is that the partner's always got to soothe them down once they get all amped up emotionally, or they get too in your head. So the fact that the sun is in the sign of Cancer, you got to, Libra, you got to realize that the sun's in Cancer, and so it's saying, think about what your goal is, think about some of the priorities, but the full moon right now is saying, don't go back into the inner child that was told by someone that was too critical, you've got this. Or worse, when you know deep inside yourself that you cheated, or you weren't up to par on performance, but because your parents loved you, or because they were afraid that it would hurt your feelings, they gave you the trophy anyway. They said, job well done. And you went home looking at the trophy thinking, I didn't try my hardest, I didn't do my best. And that could build an arrogance. Oh, I got the reward anyway. So yeah, win the race or you didn't win the race. Either way, love yourself. Don't cheat. Don't connive. Don't proposition without the backup of integrity or authenticity. If you're a Scorpio, it's the third house full moon. This is the exuberance and the effervescence of how you make the point. This is how you invite people's attention onto the topic. You get to the point, you wait, you get the response, and then you see how that can be a benefit to the both of you. So you're learning about other people's way of needing to be communicated to without compromising yourself. And you're learning now, Scorpio, from different styles of speakers. Like when I get a third house transit, I love to go on YouTube and watch TED Talks, because it may not be my topic. It may not be my topic. Or there's another channel on YouTube called Soft White Underbelly. Oh my God, that's intense. Like that's like you're a soul investigator of where people went off the rails psychologically. So I don't suggest that if you're in a vulnerable state, but I mean, you actually get to hear the words, and the communication style of someone that was a gambling addict, or a brothel worker, or an ex-stripper, or or an OnlyFans person and what made them go into doing that job for money. It's fast, or people that have survived abuse. I do not recommend that if you're in a tender time in your life. They're just interviews. There's no pictures, there's no violence, there's no gore, but strictly from that person who experienced its words, Scorpio, the intensity comes through, and the vulnerability that someone has to go on a channel like that and just sit on a stool and talk about their life story. I mean, you'll see in the comments, people are sobbing. I mean, it will trigger you if you're not ready for it. It's like watching a crime story, and if you were ever, God forbid, a rape victim, and you hear the story of a person that was raped, it can trigger you. So you understand my warning. The reason I can say it to Scorpio is the one sign out of all 12 that can take that psychological intensity. It's Pluto ruled. It's how do we transform someone that's just had a bad draw of the cards, and that child, through no fault of their own, got shuffled around through foster homes and were abused and trafficked. I mean, it's all that on that channel. But the TED Talks, that's more optimistic, and the people only get 15 minutes, and they've got 15 minutes to teach you how to be encouraged about that particular topic. So for Scorpios, I would say listen to some other orators, other teachers, other speakers, and how might their words enliven you, empower you, unlock you, and give you a different way of understanding, even if that's just private, you to you in your own home. And the sun in Cancer right now is encouraging you in some new platforms for ceremony, study, philosophical up-leveling. So I would say with Scorpio, deeper listening will give you more powerful words. If you're a Sagittarius, the full moon hits your second house. So you're looking at assets, you're looking at liabilities. It's real cut and dry. It's going to be a short forecast for Sagittarius because it's like, show me the money. Where am I leaking? Where are the floods happening to do with money if the money's going out? So Sagittarians right now are wanting to like anchor down, look at their cabinets. What do I need to go get an extra can of at the store, or an extra box of, or some dry goods, just as if someone was preparing for a hurricane coming or an ice storm coming. Sagittarians are kind of in a prepper mood right now, and prepper doesn't have to have any negative connotations to it. It's like if prices are rising, and every time you go to the store, you buy an extra box of saltine crackers, or if you're into peanut butter, you get an extra jar of peanut butter when it's buy one, get one free, or it's on sale. Yeah, that's the way to prep effectively, the way the earth signs see it. Like, I've got an extra can. I've got an extra bag of black beans. Ooh, this is a little bit of a short week financially. So, hey, I've got those black beans. I'm going to cut an onion. I'm going to make some black beans, and I'm going to put some sour cream on top of it. And I've got protein, and I've got, yeah. When you cook with garlic, or you cook with a raw onion, you're getting allicin. Allicin is a very important immune building ingredient. So garlic and onions, when you add them this time of year in an extra way to your pizzas or your soups or your salads or whatever, you're building your immunity through allicin, A-L-L-I-C-I-N, allicin. Look it up. So for Sagittarius, it's all about the money, or it's all about where the money's hemorrhaging. So it's about tightening all that up, and Sagittarians will feel better if they feel like their cabinets are a little more prepped. Like butter's on sale, you buy four packs of butter because it's on sale. It's like, oh my God, it's $4 off. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy 4 boxes of butter, then slam it in the freezer because I just saved money as I come into winter and I need butter for my turkey or my pastas or whatever it is. If you're Capricorn, wow, your sign is the sign in 2024. The summer, some people say it's the summer of love, with Venus going into her sign of Cancer, and Gemini, and then Leo, and Mars being in the passionate sign, more passion, please, of Taurus. That gets along with you, Capricorn, but it's about breaking out of the shell and standing there. The shell's drying, you broke out of it. It's that first, 360-degree look, the panoramic view of what just happened. So it's a reality bite, it's a reality check, and it's about Capricorn saying, I did that for 20 years. I specialized in that for the last 10 years. I leaned into that relationship for the last 4 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And Capricorn saying, what's working and what's not working any longer. Through no fault of blaming anybody else, just looking at it is what it is. It's kind of like a Buddhist platform for you Capricorns right now. If I've looked at myself and I've done what I needed to do to make the better version of myself, to correct my errors according to that boss, that partner, guide that child in a better way. If I've not been spending enough time with that child, that friend, that person in my life that I claim matters much, correct yourself. And if it's still not working, by the next full moon, Capricorn, you're going to start making some changes. It's just going to happen, because after Mars goes into Gemini on July 2nd, when it pops into your opposite sign, I know that's a little bit on down the road, but when Mars moves and goes into the opposite sign of yours, when Mars makes that shift into the sign of Cancer, and Mars is going to go into Cancer, Capricorn, I'm going to say it, even though it's in early September. When Mars goes into Cancer, whatever's not working now in June, early July, whatever's not working between June 21st, all these planets in Cancer are a precursor, or the easier teachers. When you go to this full moon, right after solstice on June 21st, and by that next full moon at the last degree of Capricorn, this is bringing up what's underneath the surface, what's lurking in the depths of you, subconsciously, emotionally, psychologically. Capricorns will keep that crap all to themselves until they're ready to make a decision. And then when they move, and they move with definite directional changes. So I would say that in the first week of September, write it down, Capricorn, in the first week of September, and actually probably for the sign of Cancer too. Cancers and Capricorns have some definitive changes coming in September, especially the first part of September. And don't forget, we've got our next batch of eclipses coming up in September, October as well. So there's our next big shift as we come into that full moon and that new moon that are harbingers of change, because they're eclipses. And just so you can write it down, Capricorn, the full moon of September 17th and 18th is the lunar eclipse in Pisces. So that's going to be when you announce. Pisces for Capricorn is the third house. That's when you're going to start letting everybody know, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm no longer going to do. And that's a wrap. I mean, it's just going to be, that's what I'm going to say. I keep hearing Capricorn, and that's a wrap. Yep, that's a wrap. I'm out. Mahalo. That's what I see. And I think that's all the signs.
Oh, no, we got to go to Aquarius and Pisces.
Oh, thank you. Thank God we've got Nicole. Thank God, I got so wrapped up in.
I know. She's like, well, Capricorn said that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. So, okay. So, yeah. And thank you, Nicole. So, I love Aquarius too. Aquarius, the full moon is your 12th house. And we were talking about Cancers. We were talking about the 12th house. Nicole and I were right before the call. And the 12th house is known as the house of issues. And I like to teach my clients this: the month before your birthday and the month before the start of your rising sign, these are embryonic times of the year. These are where we're going to have a labor and then a birth. That's the short form of the teaching. And so for Aquarius right now, with the full moon hitting the sign before yours, Capricorn is the sign before Aquarius, and the fact that you've got two full moons, so this first full moon in Aquarius hits the January born Aquarians, and the next full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn over that third week of July hits the February born Aquarius. So this is a time to look into your closets, look into the secret spaces within yourself, what you're longing for, what you wish you could break up with, but it's just not the time. But you know, no matter how much you push it back, you just feel like you're just done with it, or it's not got the passion and the fire of the commitment to the school or the job or whatever, or it's fine. Here's I think what's more difficult. The job is fine, the relationship is fine, where you're living is fine, and something in your soul is going, no, you've settled into a type of congruent avoidance. It's like everything's going well. How come you're not happy? You know, have you settled for less? Not blaming the person, the job or anything, but, you know, are you getting stagnant? So Aquarians right now are looking at, well, let me just at least answer that for myself. Not for Mary, not for Nicole, not for my partner, not for my job. Am I stagnant? Am I getting complacent about just because wild, high emotional things and dramatic things aren't happening to me? That doesn't mean my life is boring. Nowadays, with what's going on in the world, I'm hearing a lot more friends and clients going, I'm okay, just having a peaceful day today. I'm okay staying off of social media. I don't want to hear about politics. I don't want to hear about war. And I don't care what's going on with all of this paralysis of social fear mongering. So a lot of people are stepping back from what's been driving people to be high anxiety, sheep running around in the field. I just know there's a wolf out there somewhere. We just got to keep running. The coyotes are coming. The coyotes are coming. The sky is falling. And you know what? Let's face it. For some people in different parts of the world, the sky is falling down upon them. So there's another thing that each of us as unified Earth citizens, yeah, we don't need to take that for granted, and we don't need to get complacent or cocky about, well, there's not bombs falling on my city right now. You know, check yourself, move into gratitude, and move more into meditation and prayer for the people that are going through very turbulent war zones. Is it your fault? No. Is it your responsibility? Probably not. But could you lend some light and some frequency so that might build up, oh, I don't know, some good karma in your soul bank account? Yeah, do it. Just do it. So for Aquarians, it could be a little bit of a time where you want to withdraw. You're not usually your social jester self. You're not the clown helping everybody have a good time at that dinner or that cocktail hour. Aquarius has some things they need to sort out right now with themselves, and they'll be right back next Thursday going, yeah, let's meet at 5 o'clock at the sunset and throw some down. Yeah, let's go for a walk on the beach. But this full moon might be a good time for them to retreat a little bit and recalibrate. And if you're a Pisces, I like this full moon for Pisces. I like that Saturn's going to retrograde over June 29th and take some of the pressure off of Pisces. I like that the anxiety is backing off for Pisces. The planets that were in Gemini made you go, I got to do this and that and that and that. Oh my God, I burnt the cake and oh my God, the car won't start. Where the hell did I put the keys? I mean, it kept Pisces and Virgo all in their head. And now that we've got Mercury, the planet of how we think and how we travel and how we get the point across and how we successfully navigate our sometimes very crowded schedules and timing, you know, the divine timing of everything. When Mercury and Venus and the Sun are all kissing the sign of Cancer the Crab, well, Cancer the Crab, the ocean crab, lives at the Piscean Ocean. So you've got some elemental assist. You've got a nice spirit coach helping you with not getting so wound up or not being so down on yourself or not feeling like that it's a fatal flaw that whatever you wanted to have happen didn't happen yesterday. I feel like as June progresses and we get into the first 10 days of July, I feel like with the way that Mars right now is in Taurus, and Taurus, it helps Pisces to relax. So Taurus helps Pisces to calm down. A Pisces can be around a Taurus and their anxiety goes down because the Taurus will turn around and say, okay, you've vented long enough now. Let's have fun. Or now that you've had that time to vent, let's let the next 15 minutes be about laughter and humor and encouragement. And let me tell you, Pisces, it's not going to be about you for the next 15 minutes. Quit sucking the oxygen out of the room and playing victim. The shadow side of Pisces is somehow they swing the stories all back around them, what didn't happen for them, and how they went through such a hard thing in life. And it's like, yeah, I know you told me that last time, ad nauseum. So let's move forward. Let me be the agent in your life that can let you go have the happy cocktail hour or the fun lunch or a little, let's go for a drive, let's go pet the llamas, whatever we need to do. Let's go to the zoo somewhere, but let's get you out of your element, get the fish out of the water. So it actually that night when it's blinking, because it still can't go to sleep because it's thinking in its head all the time and it's got to organize everything. At least you gave them the musical, the theatrical event, the sidewalk art show, Shakespeare, something. You know, you went to the planetarium and let them watch the skies and the stars to the music, you know, that kind of a thing. Give them an exotic, Pisces is theater and music and exotic types of entertainment, you know, so get them out there so they can shut their heads off for a while and just, you know, fix them a nice meal and say, here, I just want to drop this food off and I'll stay for 15 minutes because I really want you to have some private, soft moments where you don't have to entertain me. You can just eat this food. Hey, look, you don't have to cook today. And you know what? I'm not attached to the outcome. If you already cooked and you don't want to have it, you want to put it in the freezer and you don't want to have it till tomorrow, I don't have any expectations or strings on you. Just sit down and know that, oh, look, I've got some food for tomorrow. You know, I bought you lunch and I brought it. Here's a pizza. It's already cooked. It's your favorite pizza. I paid attention. There you go. Here's a whole jug of lemonade. I just want you to have some nice moments. So, you know, just take the pressure off of a Pisces because whether they show it or not, they got that mind is spinning. most of the time. I mean, and that's what emotionally exhausts them and makes them want to just go to sleep, go back to bed. Today's too, I have so many Pisces clients that say, it's just too much to deal with today. I'm not going out. I'm going to go back to bed, put the air conditioner on really low and cold, and I don't want to deal with the world. And I'm like, okay. So Pisces will retreat. And so the Cancer planets will make it easier on you, Pisces, to actually have a nicer, reliable, easier, trustable social experience. So if you're going to venture out from just being in the depths of the oceanic waters of all those emotions, with Saturn going retrograde, Neptune is the 29th degree in these Cancerian planets, and Mars is not in Gemini anymore. It's, it's in Taurus right now. It's not going to be in Gemini until early June. Let this be the time that you put your head above water for a while and realize the sky's not falling, the sun is shining, and the full moon's going to be so pretty on the ocean waves. So pretty. So it's interesting to me because Florida is a Pisces state. It was incorporated under the Pisces sign, and there's been some really torrential flooding going on. And although hurricane season starts on June 1st every year and goes until December 1st for natives of Florida, and I live there, so I know the hurricane prep season all too well. It's kind of freaking my Florida clients and friends out. Like, we're getting all this rain and there's not even a tropical depression or a hurricane. So, but because Nicole talked about Saturn's going to retrograde in Pisces and Neptune's at that last degree, it could be a very odd, hard to predict, like it could change course very quickly with all those storm chasers and hurricane hunters. It could be that the hurricanes don't necessarily hit the predictable areas this year. It could be very odd what's going on with wind-driven water when we get Mars and Gemini in the first part of July, in the midst of hurricane season. If it's going to hit Florida, it usually hits when we get closer to that Virgo Pisces full moon area, when we get to that third week of September and the last part of August. That's usually, if Florida's going to have a rough hurricane season, being a Pisces state, yeah, that's usually when it hits at that time. So if you're a Floridian or you're going to Florida, I would look a little closer at those projections when it gets closer to if you're planning on traveling or taking a cruise, because Pisces also rules the oceans of the world. If you're planning on going to a cruise, whether it's to Alaska or the Caribbean or Mexico, I would look a little harder at the hurricane season this year. I was Tampa Bay's wizard. That's what they called me when I lived in the west coast of Florida. And the newspaper, there used to be a newspaper. The newspaper and the slick, glossy magazine contacted me every year to do my hurricane forecast. And a lot of people watched that and read that in the magazine and the newspaper, and they would check me at the end of hurricane season, because people like to do that, how accurate you were or not. And I was pretty good at it. So I'm telling you, not fear-mongering, I'm telling you to plan accordingly. Keep your eyebrow raised on the hurricane season this year. I do not think it will go as predicted. I don't. Not the places, not the intensity. And then there's the whole thing that people talk about with HARP and the direct energy weapons and CERN's open and active. And I don't have all the answers on that. But obviously there's some stuff going on with seeding the clouds or not seeding the clouds, and those at the top wanting to play with the weather. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I keep hearing it's a thing. It's a thing. So just be aware, be very weather aware as we come into that eclipse in Pisces, which has to do with oils and oceans and aquatic creatures and anomalies. Maybe there'll be new discoveries. Maybe there'll be wonderful things to do with the ocean and the depths of the oceans. Maybe there'll be, like, I lived in Florida. I didn't even know there was such a thing as an under the ocean earthquake. When a couple of them happened in Florida, I'm like, oh, do tell. And they're like, oh yeah, it happened 5 miles out in the ocean over here. I said, the Gulf hardly ever gets hurt. Yeah. So there's like underwater anomalies that go on that don't make the news that much. And with all this Pisces stuff, I would also be very aware of the fact that the whole AI, the way that it can copy people's voices now and copy people's faces and animate, that whole transhumanism, AI, steal your identity type of stuff, to be a little amped up. What I like about these two Capricorn full moons is the evil will tend to have its legs knocked out from under it. And if somebody has nefarious agendas, they're trying to rip people off or take advantage of people or do identity theft of any kind, you're going to see that exposed. And I'm so good with that. I'm so good with that. So I think that if there's, quote, fake news or people wanting to manipulate the good graces and the honest people out there, yeah, it's not going to be a good time for them. I'm all for the honest people and the encouraging words and the people that want to tithe and pay it forward with random acts of kindness. I really feel that needs to come back. And you know what? That starts with me. So thank you all for your attention and your love. And may we all be Robin Hoods and knights and princes and queens and good warriors to make the difference in this world. And instead of criticizing or trolling or giving your little negative attitudes or comments, let's uplift each other and be encouraging, because I promise you, the outcome is a win-win for everybody. Yeah, it is. So bless you all, and thank you, and happy full moon.
Yes, happy full moon. Thank you very much, Mary, for going through all of that. I've kept a tracking of the timing, so I'm going to try and put timestamps in for everyone, so you have a timestamp for each sign. But this full moon is the perfect time if there's something that you've been really needing to get done and you want to do it successfully. This is the time to do it. So really prioritize what is of importance for you around this time. Use the energies accordingly. And if you need some assistance or some help, some guidance, you can book an astrology session with Mary at marydusina.com. If you'd like to join me in 2 days, on the Thursday, the June 20th, we kick off the 4-week program. It's 28 days. You can join, and I'll leave a link for that in the description below if you'd like to change your reality and get all of the tools that you can use for the rest of your life to keep leveling up and keep building what it is you want. Like Mary said, these energies are building energies. Saturn likes to build and build something that will last the test of time. So this is a great time. And of course, as Mary was talking about the full moon in Pisces, don't forget, I have my Forbidden Journey retreat in Breckenridge, Colorado. It will launch on the full moon in Pisces. So it'll be a very, very powerful retreat. The energies are extremely ripe. And what better than to be doing medicinal journeys than one that is in the sign of Pisces of plant medicine?
Oh, totally.
I know, like it's so perfect.
Life-changing.
So exciting. So that is all that we have for you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show, and Mary and I will be back again next month for your second full moon in Capricorn rundown. And don't forget, that full moon is going to be quite intense. Expect transformation, death and rebirth and change. Those are big themes that are going to be coming up for that full moon. So get positioned well now so that you are in a place to really reap the rewards of something sudden and transformational coming into your life. Guys, I love you and have an amazing night. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.